The Dark Knight is an atypical example of superheroic good versus evil narratives. For one thing, it is a story that is not defined by the successes of its hero Batman, but rather it is defined by his critical failures. And in typical fashion, we usually see do-gooders triumphing over the forces of evil in stories such as this, and as viewers we're usually conditioned to believe that the hero is the most powerful figure in the story, the most effective agent of change. However, the world that Christopher Nolan presents in this film is far more complex and insidious. For all of the heroes involved in The Dark Knight are pushed to their breaking points, morally and ethically, as well as emotionally. And the notions of good and evil instead become murky platitudes. Following the events of Nolan's franchise reboot Batman Begins, which laid the foundations of the titled hero's origins and motivations, the sequel finds Gotham City facing the rise of a new dawn. Thanks to the efforts of the newly minted district attorney Harvey Dent, the city's mob empire begins to fill up the prisons by the dozen. Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, continues to clean up the streets at night, and occasionally works in tandem with his assistant inventor, Lucius Fox, and Lieutenant Jim Gordon, the dedicated veteran of Gotham's police department. In the face of Batman's hard-fought endeavors, his very presence in Gotham appears to attract a certain class of criminal, along with a slew of Batman imitators who poorly emulate the Caped Crusader's example. Because I'm sure an army of pudgy, shotgun-wielding, hockey pad wearing wannabes in bat costumes would make the League of Shadows shiver in their boots. Enter the Joker, an amalgamation of all the worst traits of humanity whose brand of criminality infects the city to an unprecedented degree. As the Joker plunges Gotham into complete disarray, Batman, Dent, and Gordon must wrestle with upholding the law and taking drastic measures to protect the city. Power dynamics in the film upend our perceptions of who is ultimately in control. The central theme in Batman Begins revolved around fear and the channeling of it to one's ends. Bruce Wayne channeled his childhood fear of bats and was able to strike terror in the criminals he battled. This time around, the fear that previously served as his most formidable weapon is rendered moot when confronted with the Joker. Utterly void in conscience or empathy, the Joker operates without a rigid scheme for widespread domination or even a profit motive. His goals instead are to simply tear down society's pretense of rules and civility, to prove his twisted belief that the real nature of all human beings is fueled by corruption and a cannibalistic dog-eat-dog ethos. The Joker's malevolence is also conveyed in his disheveled visage. Clad in an unwashed, custom-tailored purple suit and green vest, and donning a disturbing Glasgow smile mask of cracked, white clown face paint, two circular pools of black eye makeup, and green-dyed hair, the self-proclaimed agent of chaos is the perverted antithesis to Batman's heroic image. So disturbing is Heath Ledger's Joker, he makes Jack Nicholson's Joker look like Caesar freaking Romero. Three prominent elements of the Joker's character crown him as the film's most powerful figure. 1. His aforementioned indifference to the law. 2. His expert skill in manipulation. And 3. His mysterious background. After apprehending the madman, Jim Gordon remarks that the Joker's history is so untraceable that the closest points of any verification are the knives and lint that occupy his pockets. When Batman interrogates the Joker for the first time, he laughs hysterically as he's beaten and thrashed about, shockingly unfazed by the Dark Knight's brawn. The Joker completely no-sells all of Batman's offense in this scene. Most unsettling, yet equally correct, is Joker's point that Batman, for all his strength, really has nothing he can threaten the Joker with. Also look at how this sequence is shot when the Joker is being pummeled on the floor as Batman towers over him. Batman is seen from a low-angle shot, a shot that commonly conveys might, while the Joker is shot from a high angle, which commonly conveys weakness and vulnerability. Clearly, the inverse of these shot meanings is true, and even Commissioner Gordon remarks, "Who's in control?" when witnessing this go-nowhere interrogation. Batman's powerlessness becomes even more evident after this scene when the Joker feeds him a line of BS that leads him to rescue Harvey Dent instead of Rachel Dawes, Wayne's childhood sweetheart, and the results are tragic. When looking at other versions of the Joker, most notably Alan Moore's 1988 graphic novel The Killing Joke, 1993's Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and Jack Nicholson's interpretation of Batman in Tim Burton's 1989 film, we catch a glimpse of what kind of man the Joker was before the war paint, as well as what events created the walking, cackling, horror story freak show we know today. However, unlike those narratives, Heath Ledger's terrifying take on the clown-faced criminal comes with zero backstory. He is an absolute, as Christopher Nolan describes. The Joker's promotion of absolute anarchy makes him even more dangerous because Batman is not only fighting a sick-minded man, but an idea. How can one even begin to battle something so nebulous? So adept is the Joker at manipulating others that he is able to eradicate the boundary between average citizens and felons alike. He commits irreparable damage to Batman's reputation when he issues an ultimatum to Gotham that he will kill civilians every day until Batman reveals his identity. As a result, prominent city officials are subsequently murdered, and the people throw the bulk of blame onto Batman's shoulders. I mean, talk about ungrateful and fickle. I mean, my man can't even catch a break. Anyway, law-abiding residents turn against one another like rabid beasts after the Joker makes a target out of an impudent Wayne Enterprises employee who threatens to reveal Bruce Wayne's true identity. But the lunatic's signature masterwork is the thorough, moral, and ethical degradation of Gotham's respected civic leader, Harvey Dent. Dent's descent from the inspirational White Knight of Gotham to the malformed and vengeful Two-Face is the film's pivotal tragedy. We lament his fall into badness because we witness how effective and fearless he is in saving Gotham City early on in the story. While Batman's vigilante justice is vital in restoring the city's reputation, Dent's achievements in the public arena are precisely what Gotham City needs. People are proud to proclaim, "I believe in Harvey Dent," as he requires no masks or theatricality to effect positive change. One also cannot ignore the contributions of his assistant DA, Rachel Dawes, the mutual love interest of Dent and Wayne. A trademark token of Dent's confidence is the two-headed coin that he carries around. It represents his personal philosophy, that he creates his own luck, and that chance does not dictate the outcomes of his actions. This outlook contrasts the Joker's chaotic, let the chips fall where they may worldview, and in the wake of a horrific incident that Batman is unable to prevent, Dent's stalwart veneer is figuratively and literally torn apart. Dent embraces his new identity as Two-Face, carrying the torch of Joker's ugly doctrine and sullying Batman's vigilante justice by killing lawbreakers in cold blood. One side of his two-headed coin is now scorched by fire, and Dent indifferently extinguishes the lives of others by letting pure chance determine the verdict. When the Joker visits Dent in the hospital, he persuades the district attorney to embrace chaos, stating that schemes and plans are mere window dressing to make people feel civilized. Chaos, on the other hand, is fair, as it plays no favorites. However, Joker contradicts himself when he tells Dent that he just does things, that he's more like a dog chasing cars instead. As we learn towards the end of the film, we realize what the Joker's ultimate endgame really is, but more on that later. As for the title character of the film, Bruce Wayne/Batman is by and large the least powerful player in The Dark Knight. Even with his remarkable tools of the trade, the Caped Crusader's endeavors are not enough to impede the injury to the general morale of Gotham City's populace. Not only are his tactics astonishingly impotent in intimidating the Joker, but he also makes the serious mistake of underestimating the vice grip his wild adversary has on the entire city. Wayne states that criminals aren't complicated, to which his ever-faithful butler, Alfred Pennyworth, respectfully responds, "Perhaps it is you who doesn't fully understand. Some men just want to watch the world burn." Batman's one unshakable rule carried over from Batman Begins disavows the killing of others regardless of reasoning. The Joker's crimes indeed comprise a compelling argument for a justifiable compromise of Batman's one rule, and the Joker inevitably drives him to an ethical impasse near the film's conclusion. Using the technological resources at his disposal, Batman violates the very civil liberties of his fellow citizens to find the Joker by tapping into the cell phones of every citizen in Gotham in order to triangulate his location. The principled Lucius Fox declares his resignation in light of this, but also aches to bring the reign of the clown-faced criminal to an end. We are aware of Batman's effectiveness outside the law, yet we give a moment's pause when his autonomy interferes with our personal rights. Then again, there really was no other recourse Batman had, given the circumstances. The final confrontation between Batman and the Joker brings the Dark Knight's anti-kill stance to the fore as he ultimately spares his arch-enemy. He could have easily left him to fall to his death like Michael Keaton's Batman did to Jack Nicholson's Joker, but allowing his demise would have validated the villain's belief that even the most virtuous can become the vilest, a belief that proved successful with Harvey Dent. Because Batman is a hero untethered by legalities, snuffing out the Joker would send a dangerous message to the people of Gotham that it is perfectly okay to skip due process and eliminate wrongdoers at any time. Soon, any indiscretion committed by someone could be grounds for condonable bloodshed, and the ghoul-faced agent of chaos would become triumphant. The very last shot of the Joker dangling upside down off of a high-rise scaffolding after he is saved by Batman is chilling. The camera turns upside down to face the cackling villain right side up as he waves back and forth towards the center of the frame. Batman may have proved the Joker's worldview wrong, but his machinations have not been completely overturned. Harvey Dent's downfall is the evidence needed to assert the Joker's thesis. Come to think of it, the fact that the camera turns upside down so that the Joker appears right side up is to me a pretty twisted statement to make about the true character of Gotham City. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. I mentioned earlier that we realize what the Joker's ultimate endgame is at this point. Joker tells Batman that everything he has been doing, from plunging the city into a state of panic to Dent's fall from grace, was all for the very soul of Gotham City itself. Since the citizens of Gotham placed so much trust and faith in Dent, if they ever learned about his transformation into Two-Face, their collective spirit would be completely crushed. Although Batman ultimately puts a stop to Dent in the end, the Joker's chaotic campaign leaves scars as deeply rooted as the ones on his face. For example, as we eventually witness in the next film, The Dark Knight Rises, the Dent Act legislation, passed in honor of the fallen district attorney, imprisons hundreds if not thousands of criminals without the inconveniences of due process, parole, or appeals. Essentially, this law brings peace to Gotham by ignoring the law itself, so to speak. Critics of Batman's vigilante methods fail to see the irony in this. Looking back at the Joker's final conversation with Batman, I was also struck by his remarks of fighting for Gotham's soul. In Rises, Bane tells a battered and broken Bruce Wayne that he is not torturing Wayne's body, but his own soul instead. All of the lies and concealed truths that Wayne utilized in order to preserve peace in Gotham City had caught up with him in that moment, and it all started with his final confrontation with the Joker 8 years prior. The Dark Knight is the gold standard for all superhero comics-based films, and that distinction can also be made for Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy as a whole. All three films, most especially this one, still make a powerful impact with each successive viewing. And while some other superhero films offer quick entertainment and little else, The Dark Knight continues to represent the apex of the genre and shows what other films in said genre can aspire to. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Victor Omoayo, and there's more video essay goodness to be had on the Victor Omoayo channel.